the Minority Cannabis Business Association. The MCBA has been created specifically to progress the cannabis industry by increasing diversity, creating equal access and economic empowerment for cannabis businesses, their patients, and the communities most affected by the war on drugs. Welcome to Cannabis Economy. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube with the handle Can Economy, 2 N's in the word economy. I'm your host, Seth Adler, also proudly a board member of the MCBA. After a recent board meeting, we turned on the microphones where the chairman, Jesse Horton, and some of the board members, Jeanette Ward of MJ Freeway, Shailene Title of THC Staffing, Jason Ortiz of MVFR, our old friend Shabnam Malik, Judge Shelley Hayes, Danny Kazar-Sutton, and Guy O'Bellum all shared a little bit about the MCBA. No, we just completed the MCBA board meeting, and I'm here with the board. Jesse, you're the guy that kind of brought us all together. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very
much for doing that. Just go ahead and state the mission statement one more time. You've done it already on the podcast. You know, why did you put together, or why did you bring together the Minority Cannabis Business Association?
Sure. The MCBA's mission really is to create equal access and economic empowerment for cannabis businesses, their patients, and the communities most affected by the war on drugs. And I really saw the vision for the organization as I started to be more involved from the business standpoint and having more of a philanthropic background with work in the community and just seeing an unbelievable need for people to get together who have more insight into the industry as this is shaping and have the ability to make sure that it becomes a better industry and not just another industry, and also the ability to help others who really desperately want to become a part of what we understand is so great.
Absolutely. I know I was really excited when we first got in contact about me being on the board. How did you find these fine people that we're looking at? And then we'll introduce each one of them. What were you looking for, I guess, when finding the initial set of board members?
You know, that's an interesting question. I never really thought much about it. I think I met everyone kind of just circulating around the different conferences. You know, that's one of the things that I made sure to do when I got into the industry was to really take some time and get to know the people, get to know the businesses, the conferences, get as much information as possible before I decided where I fit, if I fit at all. So I did that, and that's part of where I saw the need, but that's also where I saw and met the majority of everyone who's on the board now. Some of them were introduced to me by other amazing board members, and some of them I knew had a really good personal relationship with before I brought them on. I think what I was ultimately looking for was just me understanding, from an engineering background, knowing that in order to make the best product, you have to have different minds thinking about it. You have to have people who are somewhat maybe opposed, people who are holding hands together and really understanding what the issue is and developing something that really meets everyone's goal and just to further the industry. And that's one goal that I saw from each of the people that are on the board right now, is that they wanted to see the industry be better. They maybe had different perspectives from different regions, different parts of the industry, different cultures within the industry, whatever it may be, but with the understanding that they all had the one vision to make the industry better, I knew that it should work.
There you go. And everybody's kind of different here, which is kind of nice. One person can't do it alone. That's what you said, basically. And so we've got, we got people from all stripes. We got comedians, right?
Sure. That's what they tell me.
Yeah, that's what they tell you.
Right? I continue to believe them.
How did you
tell
meet
me
Jesse?
I'm a writer.
How did you meet Jesse? And introduce yourself.
Oh, hello. Ungaio Bealum here. Ngaiobelum. Find me on the Twitter at Ungaio or twitter.com/Ungaio420.
There we go.
There's 419 other Ungaios. That's the classic joke.
You're the most recent one.
Well, yeah. That's what I told my grandma.
Right. How'd you meet Jesse?
We met at the International Cannabis Business Conference, I think either in Ashland or Portland. Or Eugene.
Yeah, I think it was somewhere down south, Oregon. One of those conferences that I mentioned. Yeah.
I work with those guys too. We're going to be in Vancouver in October. Come on out.
Awesome.
And we just hit it off, man. And he told me about it, and I thought it was a great idea. And I think we need to do way more outreach into the communities of color, and make sure that the people most affected by the war on drugs, or the war on some drugs, get a chance to get a cut.
There you
This
go.
Beautiful economic pie.
And that, I guess that's the table stakes. What are you most excited about as far as the MCBA, having sat here today and the past couple months?
Energy, passion,
Yeah.
knowledge, experience.
Yeah.
We have it all, man. Everybody here does everything. So
There we go.
And I love marijuana, so I do.
That does come through. That does come through.
That's
I'm
something
not
else we all have in
kidding.
common.
Indeed.
Yeah,
That's,
that
Slightly
was the
when
other
I love
thing.
my kids. Don't tell them I said that.
that's fair. We won't judge you. And that's
There's
how
no
I'm going
judgment here at the
to
MCBA.
go ahead and pass it to the judge, right?
That's right. Nice.
All right, so go ahead and introduction.
My name is Shelley Williams Hayes. I'm a retired circuit court judge from Chicago, Illinois.
Can you believe that we're doing this? Can you believe, as a retired circuit judge, can you believe that this is what we're doing?
I'm so happy to be a part of this movement. I feel that the laws are changing, they're favorable. I listened to some of the things that Jesse says about, his movement in Oregon and how receptive everyone is to what he's doing. And, I feel like, when I met him at the National Cannabis Business Conference in Denver, I met him and he was on a panel discussing businesses for African Americans and getting more people involved. I met Wanda James the same day, I think, and we were, just talking about what we could do to get, more minorities and women involved in the cannabis business. So I literally, when the laws changed in Illinois, I literally ran off the bench so that I can get involved.
There you go. Can I put you on the spot and ask you to talk about maybe a case, that you had to adjudicate that did involve cannabis?
Yes, I used to preside over cases. Forcible entry and detainer was the name of the division, but it was basically evictions.
Uh-huh.
And one of the things that there's a book that's coming out next month. It's called Evicted. It's very well received. It's already won a prize. The author discusses what it means to be evicted in the United States. And one of the things that she said that really struck me, and it's reminiscent of some of the things in the marijuana business, but she said that incarceration is to black men what evictions are to black women. I see many cases where people are evicted because of the sale of drugs.
Right.
And that is a violation of any housing law that they're involved with. And so they can very well be evicted and put on the street.
Huh.
And it destroys families. And so, those are the things that you have to do when you're a judge. You give them as much time as you can
Right.
within the restraints of the law, but you're pretty much bound by what the law says.
Look at that. Wow. Okay. So it's debatable how blind justice is, I guess, in that case. So we're happy to have you, I guess, off the bench then, for that matter, right?
Absolutely.
And so Shabnam is a returning guest.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm doing well,
Are
thanks.
you, how is it to not be with your partner?
It's really difficult, actually. How
Right?
many times have I mentioned Amanda today? I hope a lot.
A lot of
Represented
times.
her. Well, yeah.
What about? We didn't even. I think we didn't even know that we were on the board
I know.
together
I didn't think,
at the time.
I don't think we knew. But
But what are you excited about as far as MCBA is concerned? Because we did get a chance to talk to you about Branch.
Right. Well, I'm excited about being able to participate in the empowerment and development of a real minority ownership stake in this industry. And as everybody here knows, after my participation today, I think that's really important, is ownership, being comfortable with the idea of being a business owner, making money, employing other people, participating in the economy in that way, as well as affecting policy and activism and social change. I think they're two sides of the same coin. You can't have one without the other. So I'm really excited to be able to help in any way I can, whether it's through contribution of legal services or just my participation as a board member, just to help with that kind of change.
Excellent, wonderful, and it's obvious that is central to your being. So as you say it. So Shailene, folks will know your name and title. Thank you. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Shalene Title. I'm
Oh.
a partner with THC Staffing Group.
How did you meet Jesse?
I think I actually predate Jesse on the MCBA board.
Oh, right. There's the there's I guess the BC. What do we call it?
Not quite.
Well, because it was the MCIA. We talked about it before. We had to go through a name change and all that.
Tiffany Bowden and I first started the organization with a couple of other members. And at that time, Tiffany Bowden was the president of the organization as we got kind of up and running and started to really determine what was going to be important for us to focus on, understanding that we wanted more minorities to be involved. And Tiffany, I think, had some type of relationship or had known Shalene, and that's kind of how we got it.
Yeah, Tiffany and I both went to the University of Illinois. And so I heard
the
about
Fighting
what she was
Illini, I
doing.
believe. Is that
It
right?
was the Fighting Illini.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it still is.
Okay. Because that might be offensive.
It's a 2A refusal.
Yeah.
So I met Jesse. I was just excited because people had been talking for so long about finding a place for people of color, in the
Right.
industry and in the movement.
Right.
And Tiffany and George and Jesse were the first people to actually do it. So I jumped on it as soon as I had the chance.
And what are you excited about most today, as we go forward here?
I see a lot of enthusiasm from cannabis companies that want to give back to the communities, that want to get more involved in repairing the damage done by the war on drugs, but they don't quite know how to do it.
Yeah.
And so I see that as a big opportunity for MCBA to help companies give people that economic empowerment and provide that positive impact back for communities.
It really is kind of nice to be here in the wake of prohibition capped off by the war on drugs. What a wonderful coupling, right? The prohibition into the war on drugs, and then here we are. So, Shailene, thank you. Jason, you've got some policy experience, right?
Sure. So my name is Jason Ortiz, and I'm a campaign strategist. I work on both electoral campaigns, but also legislative ones on cannabis policy or the death penalty or educational rights and anything that really needs somebody to fight for them.
So we have to do this. We have to take this tangent. It being the Wednesday after Super Tuesday of 2016. We just had the primaries. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you to prognosticate what you think is going to happen.
I do think that Bernie will win in the end, and I think that his stance on legalization actually is going to be a big part of that. Like we saw what happened in Colorado, and so
he wins the Democratic nomination. In your opinion.
And then I am thinking Trump will win the Republican nomination.
Okay.
Yeah, I do think he will win it.
And then in November, just for fun, but it won't be. What do you think? What do you think will happen, Bernie versus Trump?
Well, I mean, in my core being, I believe that the folks that oppose folks like Trump will rise up and organize. And I do think we have the capacity to do it. And I think organizations like the MCBA specifically are going to play a big role in that and shaping why it's so important to make sure we keep minority communities in mind. Because if we don't, you have folks like Trump that are going to destroy the country. So I think, even if you're not just a cannabis policy person, paying attention to how the various policies that are being discussed will affect you is going to be super important over the next 6 months or so.
Absolutely over the next 6 months, without question. What about what's on the ballot? I mean, there are a number of states that have ballot initiatives, others that have, things in state houses, and what is your general sense of how things are going?
And I think as far as cannabis goes, that we're going to see a lot of wins in 2016. It's going to be huge. And as somebody from Connecticut, I'm not currently living in Puerto Rico, but I am from Connecticut. I'm actually really excited about Massachusetts, their bill coming up, as it'll be the first New England state to legalize. And so we've seen a lot of the West Coast kind of progress much faster than the East Coast as far as cannabis policy goes. So I'm feeling really good about our West Coast friends out here in California, but I'm most excited about finally seeing a New England state be at the cutting edge of something.
There you go. And just one last question. U.S. Virgin Islands dealt a little bit of a setback, but I'm sure that Senator Nelson will do his best to get back on the horse. What about Puerto Rico if you're based
Puerto
there?
Rico's got some exciting things. Actually, the outgoing governor Padilla is super supportive of legalization and made a statement during his State of the States address, although it's not a state. But he also made an executive, so conversation for another podcast.
Right.
But he did make an executive order to implement a medical program unilaterally. And so it's clear that at least one of the major parties in Puerto Rico are pushing for legalization, which is the first time I've seen that since I've been alive.
Okay. All right. So that's the state of the state, or the state of the whatever. Danny?
Yeah.
Danielle Kazare Sutton, and I'm from Chicago. And I have to say how I met Jesse first before you even asked, because actually I didn't meet him till after I got on the board.
Look at that.
I am very involved in social entrepreneurship. That's my thing, is that this industry has an opportunity to pay back in kind so many wonderful things that they can do for the communities that were so not only disadvantaged communities, but historically discriminated against communities of color, and to actually put back some of the families. We lost so many black families because of mass incarceration, dads gone, the eviction problems. So I've been very involved in the social enterprise. I don't like the whole not-for-profit thing of beg, beg, beg.
Yeah.
To me, it makes more sense for you to make, and
Yep.
then be able to give without begging.
Shabnam talked about that earlier today. Yeah,
Shabnam,
totally.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's how I reached out to Jesse. I was doing a panel, supposedly, for the Social Capital Markets Conference here in San Francisco,
Uh-huh.
beautiful city we're in right now. And for some reason, we didn't get on the docket, but they contacted me and said, look, will you just come out and do a spot on a video?
Sure.
And so we didn't get to do the panel, but that introduced me to Jesse, which was one of the best things that's ever happened.
There you go.
I
He's
am
not bad, this guy.
Well, I'm so happy to be involved in this movement.
Yeah.
This is an incredible bunch of people.
It is.
We'd have to be. We all like weed.
There you go. There you go. And that's just a few of them, Danny. Thank you so much. That's just a few of the board members. We obviously have more. One important person that I want to mention is Jeanette Ward, who's been doing a lot of the work behind the scenes. And she just walked in. So Jeanette, first off, thank you so much for your work. We all know that you're doing a ton. So thank you. This is a sitting ovation that you're getting. Which is which is rare. What are you most excited about? You know, you really are putting us all together here. What's most exciting to you?
About the work that we're doing?
Indeed.
Okay. I think the most exciting thing is the collective power we will create and distribute in the hands of minorities through the work that we're doing. And I don't think we even yet realize how big that will be and how much weight that will carry.
Yeah.
And I'm honored to be in a group of people this amazing and smart and with this much experience. I've got like a fraction, if you can see my two fingers, is a fraction of experience. And then I can sit in the room and share the room with you guys is incredible.
And that's
Thank
fair,
you.
and that's a great point. But we should. I mean, you do have a fair amount of corporate experience with fairly sizable companies, right? I mean, I don't know how much we want to get into that.
I mean, yeah, but that's okay. So I got a good schooling on how not to do it.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Jeanette. Jesse, in closing, I mean, I know that we are all excited to kind of get going here. You know, is there any last point that you want to put on here, a kind of final coup de grace to set us on our way?
Yeah, I think it's just important to really understand that this organization is really about making sure that minorities have an equal access to the opportunity that's presented by this industry. But it's not just because. It's because we understand that by doing so, we'll make it a better industry. We truly believe that. Cannabis, I think, and I've been challenged on this, and I may have said this on a previous podcast, I don't know, I think has the largest demographic of users of any non-essential product, you know, other than like toilet paper, things like that, right?
Yep.
I mean, there's so many different types of people, so many different ages, so many different backgrounds, perspectives, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, whatever you can think of, where you can talk about. I think there's a lot of people that are using and benefiting and really enjoying this plant. And with that in mind, if we're not building this industry with that in our mind, if we're not, you know, developing organizations, if we're not thinking about this as we're talking about policies, if we're not thinking about this as we're developing our successful businesses, as we're marketing our businesses, whatever it may be, I think we're going to miss the boat on where the industry can go from a means of economic empowerment, but also as a means of giving back for social good. And I think that's ultimately everyone's mission, is to make this a better industry as a whole. And we just know that this is our particular way of contributing to that.
Yeah, and from an economy standpoint, what it sounds like you're pointing out is we don't even know how big the cannabis economy is, so to speak. And so let's pay attention to all aspects of it.
Yeah, I think it's unbelievable. I think we'll look back on this and really see, what this plant has in store for us. I think it's mind-blowing. I'm lucky to be a part of the industry.
There we go. We all are. Thank you so much to Jesse. Thank you to each other. All right, MCBA board, and we're out. The Minority Cannabis Business Association. How can you go ahead and go to minoritycannabis.org, scroll to the bottom of the page, put in your information. Would love corporate sponsorship, would love personal members, would love involvement of any kind. Appreciate you listening, and here's to the MCBA.